When I was younger, I believed that being different was something to hide. I thought imperfections were flaws, cracks in the image of who I was supposed to be. But life has a way of teaching us the truth, and for me, that truth came in the form of a missing fingertip. It's strange how something so small can leave such a big impact, isn't it? You never think about the little things until they're gone. This is the story of how I lost a part of myself and how, in losing it, I found something far more important. Hello, everyone. My name is Fhynzle Blanza. I am a first year psychology student in the University of Northern Philippines, and this is my story. It all started with something so small, a tiny wound at the edge of my fingernail. You know how you get a little cut and think, it'll heal on its own, it'll be fine. That's what I thought. What I didn't realize was that this tiny insignificant cut was about to turn into one of the biggest events of my life. The infection came quickly, spreading like a storm you didn't see coming. My dad didn't think much of it at first, just like me. But then, the storm got worse. My finger swelled up, it started rotting. I could literally see the bone beneath the flesh. But by the time we went to the doctor, it was too late for a simple fix. He said it was paronychia, a type of infection or inflammation of the skin around the fingernails, typically caused by bacteria, fungi, or injury. Because of this, I had to get a minor operation. But let me tell you, there was nothing minor about it. They decided to open up my finger and drain the pus, hoping it would stop the infection. It was done without anesthesia, so I just sat there, gripping the edge of the chair, enduring every second of excruciating pain. I kept telling myself it's okay. This will fix it. This will be over soon. And for a moment, I believed it was. But the infection was relentless. The pus came back, eating away at the bone until the doctors told me there was no other choice. To save the rest of my hand, maybe even my arm, they had to remove the tip of my finger. Now, you'd think hearing the word amputation at 12 years old would terrify me, right? But weirdly enough, it didn't. I was calm. I thought, if this is what it takes to stop the pain, then okay, let's get over it. At that time, it didn't feel like a big deal. It was almost like my brain hadn't caught up to what was happening. Looking back, that moment feels like a metaphor for life. Sometimes, no matter how much you endure, you have to let go to truly heal and to move forward, even when it feels like a part of us. The surgery came and went. The recovery process started. I had bandages wrapped around my hand, and I thought, this isn't so bad. I'll be fine. But then, one day, the bandages came off, and I saw my finger for the very first time. And that's when it hit me. I just stared at it. It looked wrong. It looked weird. I remember thinking, this was once a part of me, and now it's gone. It's strange how something so small can feel such a big loss. That's when the emotions started flooding in. Grief, embarrassment, even anger. My finger wasn't just injured anymore, it was gone. I cried. I cried for what I'd lost, for how fast it happened, and for how much it had changed me. It wasn't just my finger. It was my handwriting, my confidence, my sense of being normal. Suddenly, everything just felt off. And then came the hardest part, going to school. I wasn't prepared for the attention my finger would get. It wasn't just my hand that felt exposed, I felt exposed. Everyone seemed to know what had happened to me, even people I barely talked to. My teachers had told my classmates who told their friends, and soon the entire grade knew. At first it was curiosity, questions like, Anya napasamak? Kasano titsura natatan? But soon, that curiosity turned into teasing. People would laugh at the way I wrote because during my recovery, I couldn't bend my fingers. I had to write with my pointer finger sticking out like this, sticking straight out, and it looked odd. They'd mock me, imitating how I held the pen, and they'd ask me to show them my hand as if I was some kind of spectacle. And then there were moments that stung me the most when they'd overstep my boundaries completely. Once, someone flicked my bandaged finger and it started bleeding right there in class. I ended up crying in the middle of the classroom, embarrassed and hurt. But I didn't let them see how much it got to me, though. I've always had this type of attitude, this I don't care kind of attitude on the outside at least. Inside, though, it hurt. It hurt a lot. I tried to hide it. I knew how to sew and made little finger covers out of old clothes, but the covers only made people more curious. They'd ask, "Why are you wearing that? What's underneath? Can you remove it?" It, it was so uncomfortable. Another time, my closest friends, people I trusted the most, snuck up behind me, pulled off the finger cover I'd sewn myself, and stepped on it, laughing as they tried to force me to open my fist to see my scar. It wasn't just embarrassing, it hurt, physically and emotionally. I felt like I was the center of attention for all the wrong reasons. I knew they didn't mean to be cruel, they were just curious, but it felt like my boundaries didn't matter. I tried to play it off, acting like I didn't care because that's who I've always been, someone who doesn't show weakness. But deep inside, it crushed me. It made me question if people would ever see me for who I was, beyond the scar, beyond the missing part of me. At times, I wondered if I'd ever feel normal again. Then, the pandemic happened. For 2 years, I stayed at home where it was just me and my dad. No finger covers, no teasing, no stares. Slowly, I got used to seeing my finger as it was. Not as something to hide, but just a part of me. When I went back to school, I decided to leave the covers behind. At first, I was nervous. I thought people would stare, ask questions, or make fun of me again. Well, some did, but this time I didn't let it bother me. I'd grown tired of hiding, of pretending to be whole when I already was. Now that I'm in college, everything feels different. When I met my new friends, I didn't wait for them to notice my finger. I actually told them about it myself. During an introduction activity where we were asked to share something unique about ourselves, I stood up and, "Hey, fun fact, I'm missing a part of my finger." It felt so freeing to just own it, to take control of the narrative. Instead of seeing my finger as something to be ashamed of, I started seeing it as a story. My story. It's funny. I used to think my finger was a reminder of something I'd lost. Now, I see it as a proof of something I have gained, which is resilience, strength. We all have scars. Some are visible, like mine, and some are hidden deep inside. But those scars are what makes us human. They're proof that we've been through something, that we've survived. My finger may be small, but the lessons it taught me are huge. It taught me to let go, to adapt, and to embrace what makes me different. If there is one thing I want you to take away from my story, it is this. Don't let your scars, your flaws define you. Let them refine you. What makes you different isn't something to hide, it's something to celebrate. Because at the end of the day, we're all a little incomplete in some way. And that's what makes us whole. Thank you.